I've always been drawn to a good mystery, the kind of story that makes the hair on your arm stand up. That's why, when I stumbled across an old, dusty forum post online, I knew I had to investigate. The post was cryptic, just a single, chilling sentence: never go to the village of Ashburn after sunset. It only exists between dusk and midnight. Was it a prank? A local legend? I had to find out. My friends told me I was crazy, that I was chasing a ghost story. But the pull was too strong. I packed my gear, filled my gas tank, and started driving, with only a vague, hand-drawn map from another user on that same forgotten forum. The journey itself felt like something out of a dream. I drove for what felt like an eternity, deep into a sprawling, ancient forest. The main roads quickly gave way to narrow, winding dirt tracks that my GPS couldn't even recognize. Sunlight struggled to pierce the thick canopy of leaves overhead, casting long, dancing shadows across the path. More than once, I nearly turned back, thinking this was a wild goose chase. But just as I was about to give up, just as the sun began to dip below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and deep purple, I saw it. Through a clearing in the trees, a silhouette appeared. An old, weather-beaten sign, barely legible, read, "Welcome to Ashburn." My heart hammered in my chest. It was real. The village lay nestled in a small valley, a collection of old, dilapidated houses with broken windows and sagging roofs. The streets were empty, eerily silent except for the whisper of the wind through the tall, dry grass. It looked completely abandoned, a relic of a bygone era. I parked my car at the edge of the town and grabbed my camera. It was dusk now, that magical, fleeting time between day and night. The air grew cold. I walked down the main street, my footsteps echoing in the silence. It felt like I was the only living soul for miles. And then, everything changed. As the last sliver of the sun vanished, the village woke up. It was like a switch had been flipped. Lights flickered on in the windows of the supposedly empty houses. Doors creaked open. And then, the people appeared. Men, women, even children, materializing from the deepening shadows. They filled the streets, going about their evening as if it were the most normal thing in the world. They looked at me, and they smiled. Their smiles were friendly, welcoming, but something felt off. It was when I noticed the shadows, or rather, the lack of them. Under the pale glow of the street lamps, none of them cast a shadow. Not a single one. A chill, colder than the evening air, ran down my spine. This wasn't right. My hand tightened on my camera, a nervous habit. I lifted it to my eye, framing a shot of a family walking across the central square. And what I saw through the lens made my blood run cold. They weren't the same people. Behind each smiling villager, a second figure stood, something tall and twisted and horrifyingly thin. Its limbs were too long, its form contorted, and it seemed to whisper into the ear of its host in a language I couldn't comprehend, a sound like scraping static. My hands started to tremble. I quickly lowered the camera, my heart pounding against my ribs. And just like that, they looked normal again. Just smiling villagers in a quiet, forgotten town. Was I losing my mind? Was the long drive getting to me? I had to be sure. I lifted the camera again, focusing on a different group, an old man sitting on a bench. Through the viewfinder, the same grotesque, shadowy creature was draped over him, its featureless face inches from his own. I lowered the camera. He just smiled and nodded at me politely. It was the camera. My camera was showing me something that my eyes couldn't see. It was showing me their true forms. I started backing away slowly, trying to act casual, trying not to scream. I needed to get out of there now. Just as I turned to leave, a hand grabbed my arm. It was an old woman, her face a roadmap of wrinkles. Her grip was surprisingly strong, and her skin felt like ice. She leaned in close, her breath smelling of damp earth and decay. She whispered, her voice a dry rustle, "You shouldn't be here. Midnight is coming." Fear, pure and absolute, seized me. I ripped my arm from her grasp and started to run back toward my car. But the village seemed to twist and change around me. Every street I took, every corner I turned, led me right back to the same central square, with its fountain and its looming church tower. I was trapped. Then, the bell began to toll. Dawn. The deep, resonant sound echoed through the village, shaking me to my core. Dawn. It was counting the hours. Getting closer, and closer, to midnight. With each chime, the villagers stopped what they were doing. They all turned to face me, their movements becoming slow and jerky. Their smiles, once just and settling, began to stretch. Wider and wider, into grotesque, impossible grins that split their faces. Their eyes were fixed on me. On the 12th and final toll of the bell, they froze completely. Silence fell over the village once more. I lifted my camera one last time, my hands shaking so badly I could barely hold it steady. Through the lens, the illusion shattered completely. Their true forms bled through, no longer hidden. Their eyes were hollow, black pits. Their mouths were gaping maws, stretched in a silent, eternal scream. They were monsters. And they were starting to move. Not walking, but gliding, drifting across the square directly toward me. I didn't wait to see what would happen next. I turned and ran, not for the road, but for the dark woods that bordered the village. I crashed through undergrowth, branches tearing at my clothes, not daring to look back. After what felt like an eternity, I risked a glance over my shoulder. The clearing where Ashburn had stood was empty. The lights, the houses, the church tower, everything was gone. There was nothing but trees and the pale light of the moon. It was as if the village had never been there at all. I finally found my way back to a main road hours later, exhausted and terrified. When I got home, the first thing I did was check the footage. I plugged the memory card into my computer, my heart pounding with a mix of fear and a desperate need for validation. But there was nothing. Hours of footage, all of it corrupted, just screen after screen of hissing static. All of it, except for the very last file. It was just a few seconds of black screen. And then, a sound. A whisper. A voice, trembling with terror, that I recognized as my own. It said, "If you find this, never go to Ashburn at dusk." Thank you for watching. I know this story is hard to believe, but I had to share it. Be careful what legends you chase. Please, stay safe out there. Don't forget to like this video if it gave you chills. And subscribe for more explorations into the unknown. I'll see you next time.